How did you get sober? How did you get off drugs? You know what I mean? Like, and it always leads to God. And I just owe that to you because I never, you know, I'm just a musician, writing songs and making stuff up, and I'm living out there in the world, and I got all this talent. But what do I really do? You know, what do I really do with it? You know, and if I'm not helping somebody else that's trying to do the same thing, that may have an issue, may have a problem, you know, what am I doing if I'm not helping? And that's what really, I think, you reiterated to me and taught me and brought back around for me. And I'm just forever grateful. And anyway, I'm talking too much. I can talk about you all day, please.
No, not at all. As Jeff already said, my name is Chris Reese, but I got to correct the story a little bit. Just a little bit. Go ahead and share it.
James 5:13.
5:13 through 16 actually shares about when someone's ill, come before the church and ask the elders to pray over you. But it's not any power in the oil, it's not any power in the individuals, not any power in the words they speak. It's in the faith of the one who requests it. The belief not in the individual that stands before them, but in the God that holds them. So I want to correct that. I had nothing to do with that. That was taken care of. Brother, I'm lost for words.
Well, what you taught me though is that the supernatural is us. It's our hands, it's our arms, it's our ears, and tongue when necessary. Because we can tend to say things we don't need to say a lot of times. Sometimes it's better to just listen. And it's taught me that more than anything. Like, just when I see something that I feel like I can step into and maybe and cause a reaction that's great, it's because of that. And I appreciate that.
If I was able to share anything tonight with everyone, my background, I'm from Baltimore, which you know, the east side of Baltimore, a lot of that boarded up area. So it's real challenging. I marked everything from the age of 10. I was one of those kids whose parents separated really early, and it happened when I was 10, and so all my trauma is either before or after. So you hear me a lot of times, hey, I was 10, this, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like I've always been on a journey in that sense. There's a passage in Acts 17 that says, God determines the exact times and places where man or woman should live so you can reach out for them, even though it's not far from each and every one of us. And if you accept that call and that challenge and that walk, He puts you in the path of others. And when I think about Jeff, it's not so much as me, it's just being willing and saying, God, what do you want me to do? And what I've been able to see is Jeff answer that call from God, what is it that you want me to do with what I have? And I've seen him do that tenfold, time and time again. I can even remember a call. You remember a call he said, I called him out of the blue, so I thought, and he thought, man, I'm done. I'm through with this stuff. He said, who are you? I had no clue what he was talking about. But from that point forward, he continued to do what he does now, which is to allow himself to be used by God. Use his gifts and talents to share, to spread the gospel.
Try my best. And I know that just when you look around the world we're living in right now, it's so crazy, and there's just no stopping what's going on right now. There's just no stopping it. It's not stopping. There's no cure for it. There's nothing any human can do to stop it, because all a human has ever done is make a weapon out of a great invention, whether it's a hot air balloon, an airplane, a bicycle, a car. It's turned into a weapon, a computer. It's all a weapon. And the more I find that I hold on to that human part of everything, it always ends up going nowhere. And again, I'm not trying to sell anybody, but I just like to always, I tell people, man, whatever you got inside you, whatever you love, whatever makes you tick, share that with people. Whatever you think, all those little things, share that with people, inspire people. Because can you imagine, we have a world right now, 24/7, 365, of negative bombs all day long. All day long. Negative news. Everything is terrible. Can you imagine if we had 15 minutes of everybody praying or doing something just positive? We'd probably come off the ground. We don't know. It's never happened. But it's never going to happen if we don't at least give the supernatural a chance to come through our hands and our hearts and our arms, and like I said, our ears. And when we see something, use these senses for a bigger purpose. So everywhere I go, I'll get these pats on the back, but it's guys like you that it never would happen. I'm out there just, hey, I'm a hit songwriter. Come and see my show. But there's more to it, and maybe part of it was losing my boy, and it opened up a bigger world for me, where I saw I could make a difference to people that have been through stuff. But it's you and a few people in my life that have just lifted me up, and I'm forever grateful. So take us home with.
I think if I want to leave with something and share, I think if it's a story, it's never give up. For those who are believers and those who don't know and those who just don't believe, I look at everything. Everything is no matter how long it exists or how long it lasts, it's all temporary.
That's right.
All of it. I had a good friend of mine pass at the beginning of the year, and I had an opportunity to be with his mother-in-law, and she had just lost her husband. And she began to tell me a story as she was wringing her hands. And so I was watching her just wring her hands for a few moments, and then she stopped and held them open. And she began to share with me about her husband. And the long and short of it, he had a lot of stuff. And she went on to share with me, she said, you know what? Out of all the stuff he had, he didn't take any of it with him. She said, I'm not going to babysit stuff. So she's been visiting family all over the country. Like, it's just like, it's in the house, whatever. She doesn't even know what's going on. She just resolved, like, it's stuff. So her lesson to me, which I hold to this day, is that she said, when I was leaving, she was wringing her hands again, she held them open. And says, you remember, you're not going to leave with any of it. So what's really important? I had a good friend of mine pass a couple years before we had the same surgery. I came out of mine okay, but he didn't come out of his. And his saying was always, speak words of life. So how the day begins, I was at work today, we were in a meeting, and one of our closing exercises was, what are you grateful for tomorrow about? And I was struggling, and I had to share, I don't think like that, because I don't know if I have it tomorrow. I just watched a dear friend of mine pass a couple days ago, an hour after I prayed with her. So, I'm not saying to bring the group down, it's just, for me, it's perspective in regards of what's really important. It says, she taught me, said, don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff. So if I leave with anything, it's about a journey, no doubt. But for my journey, it's taking me places that, I'm not a preacher. I am an elder, I serve as an elder. And if you know the term, it's a pastor, it's a person that takes care of people. But in the vocation of actually preaching, I don't do that every day. I just want to live a life that God is pleased with, and I give him a good return on his deposit. That's it. I want to give him a good return on his deposit. So I live each day like it's my last. And the only thing I pray for is that I have no regrets about it. Because in Psalms it teaches us what? Each day we get a new set of mercies that we don't deserve. But we get them anyway. The good, the bad, the known and the unknown. And I'm grateful. I'm just grateful for that. Thank you.
Priestley Reeves, ladies and gentlemen, give him a hand. Thank you for being here. It means the world. You know it does.